Cuphead, what an absolute masterpiece of a game. I mean, look at the freaking art style, listen to the music, just play the game and you will see, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But, unfortunately, there's kind of one thing holding it back. And that's everybody's least favorite thing to play when replaying this game, and those are the running guns. Hi everybody, my name is Benjerizer and welcome back to my channel. Guys, today we're going to be talking about how running guns are easily the worst part of Cuphead. Now, I don't think they downright ruin the game or anything. I mean, obviously not. Cuphead is still one of my favorite games of all time. But I'm still going to talk about how annoying these things are. So without further ado, let's go! Alright, so we're gonna start off with our very first one, which is called Forest Follies. Now, this is one of the very first things you will find once you come out of Elder Kettle's house in Aisle 1. And while it may just look like a little red target, oh, it is so much more. In reality, this one really isn't all that bad. But for new players, I can see how this would really set the tone of what Cuphead is. I remember playing this when I was younger, and boy, was it a challenge. Between the sunflower guys coming down from the roof, the flowers that shoot little flower things at you, the blueberries who are just running at you on the ground all goofy, and the freaking flying acorns, this is a lot to take in for your very first running gun. Now, each running gun has a little mini boss, and this one has the acorn maker, which is honestly pretty easy. You're pretty much doing the same thing of just dodging the acorns. And then you get into the freaking piranha plant little section, and it is very stressful because you gotta time these jumps really well. Smoke dash actually helps with this one a lot, but I can see how this would be a real pain without it. And a lot of new players might not know to use smoke dash, so they're in for a not so good time with this. But overall, I don't think this is a bad running gun. I think it's actually one of the better ones, and especially one of the more tolerable ones. And if anything, it does act as a pretty good introduction to the game. So now let's move on to the second one. So the second running gun you're going to find in Cuphead is called Treetop Trouble. Now, in this one, you're going to have to face off against a bunch of little critters inside of a tree. And honestly, I really like the setting of this one. I think it's really unique and fun. But out of all the running guns, I feel like this is a very, very forgettable one. And that's kind of saying a lot because there's only 6 of them in the game. In this one, you got to dodge some little ladybugs, a giant woodpecker, or actually, those might be roly-polies. Hang on. Then once you start climbing up the tree, you have to face off against these little bug thingies that look absolutely disgusting. These really weird looking trees. I mean, just look at that guy. He's up to something very bad. And then you eventually do a little bit more platforming and you get to the mini boss of this level, who honestly is not that bad. But once again, on a first playthrough, I can see how this would be really, really difficult to get through. And he actually has a pretty significant amount of health. And I also took some damage there at the end because I didn't realize you couldn't move yet. So Treetop Trouble is just kind of another one. It's a little bit more forgettable than Forest Follies, and therefore I don't think it's quite as good. But once again, it's not outright rage-inducing, so I gotta give it some credit for that. Moving on. And now the difficulty increases tenfold here. Our third running gun is called Funfair Fever, and it feels like a fever trying to get through this sometimes. The very first section is honestly one of the hardest, mainly if you don't know what you're doing, because once you understand what's going on, then it's not that bad. But basically, you're not supposed to shoot these balloons. You know, Cuphead, the game where you're basically just supposed to shoot everything you find, you're not supposed to shoot these guys because they will explode into a bunch of bullets that will just fire at you, and it's very, very annoying. And you also have to time your jumps really well on this little trampoline guy, or else you are going to be in for a very, very annoying death that you will probably experience many, many times. Then after that, you go into this little section with these cannon guys, and honestly, this is pretty easy. It's a pretty easy, like, parkouring section. And then eventually you get to the very first mini boss of this one, which, yes, there are basically 2 mini bosses in this running gun, and he's pretty much a pushover. Just stay to the side that the duckies aren't coming from, and you'll be a-okay. And now here's where the challenge gets a little bit crazier. These platforms you see move up and down constantly while there are projectiles shooting at you from the right. And it can get really, really challenging trying to kill these pretzel guys and dodge the ketchup and mustard and relish that's coming at you. And eventually, you find who's shooting them, and it is, of course, a hot dog man. You beat him up, and then you win. And honestly, the fight isn't really all that hard. I mean, he's a hot dog. You can just take a bite out of him. And that's about it for Funfair Fever. It's honestly one of my favorites in the game. I think it has a very reasonable amount of difficulty while still being very unique and memorable. I mean, this is one of the very first ones that I think of when I think of Cuphead Run and Guns. Now, the fourth running gun you will encounter in Cuphead is right by the Beppy the Clown fight, and it is called Funhouse Frazzle. Now, this is one of the other ones that I think of when I think of Cuphead running guns, and that's because this one is crazy difficult in my opinion. This is one of the harder ones in the game. Once again, though, there's only 6 of these, so whatever. Basically, this one introduces a new mechanic of walking on the ceiling. Now, this can get insanely difficult if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I still die a lot on this one to this day. And they just throw so much at you in this one. Because alongside this new mechanic, you also get hit with so many crazy new enemies. And it is overall not a fun time. It definitely does not put the fun in Funhouse Frazzle. But I do think it is a very, very well-made one. I love this tuba guy who blahs at you, whatever that means. And I really just love the general vibes of this one just because it's so goofy. I mean, what other Cuphead running guns are gonna have a giant wall that shoots a tongue at you? So yeah, this one's pretty iconic, and I do enjoy playing it. It's just not one that I'd play a lot because it is, once again, very difficult. But oh boy, if only I could say this is the hardest one, because it just gets worse from here, guys. This is where my main issue arises with the Cuphead running guns, because these final 2 that we have to go through in order to get to the end of the game are torture. Even though this is kind of going a little bit out of order, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Rugged Ridge first. Now, I don't think this one is that bad. It can be very, very difficult, especially on 2-player mode, which is kind of another point that I haven't really brought up until now. Do not do running guns with 2 players. It is absolute torture. Believe me, I've played Cuphead many, many times with many different people, and every time I've tried to do running guns on a 2-player run, it is awful. And this one is especially bad. This one has probably the weirdest platforming that we've seen up until this point, and it has a lot of very annoying enemies, like these coyote guys with the boomerang pickaxes. You do not know how many times I've gotten hit by these guys. It is insane. And then this little part with the platform that's going down, just wow. This gets me almost every time. And another thing I really haven't brought up until now is that running guns are the main way you get coins in Cuphead. Like, you can find some miscellaneous coins here or there. Sometimes characters you talk to will just give you coins. But the main way you do this is by finding the 5 coins hidden in every single running gun. And sometimes these coins are so hard to find. And if you don't get them, this might lead you to needing to redo the level. And the first time this really became a problem for me was on this one. After getting off that platform, though, you head over to this really nice looking green area. I really, really like this. It kind of looks like some kind of Roman or Greek architecture. I think it looks really cool. And there's these guys that spit at you. And then you're on to the mini boss of this level. And it is a giant ogre that you cannot kill, but you literally just have to run away from, in what is one of the other hardest parkouring sections in the entire game. And this is where Smoke Dash can be kind of a pain in the butt, because you can't really see where you're smoke dashing to, which could lead to a lot of deaths in a lot of different ways. Luckily, I've gotten pretty decent at this one over the years, so I beat it first try here. But man, this one can be a real challenge, and this on 2-player mode is awful. Just go look at my friend Digital Fungi stream where he played this with Early Morning Humor, and you guys will see how awful this thing truly is. With that being said, though, I do kind of like this level. It's honestly not as bad as some people make it out to be. Just please, I beg of you, do not put yourself through the torture that is playing this on 2-player mode. Moving on to the final boss of this video. I absolutely love Cuphead. Just like I said at the very beginning of this video, it is one of my favorite video games of all time. There is basically nothing that I hate about it, except Perilous Peers, baby. This freaking running gun has caused me so much like torture and pain. God, I actually hate this one. This is the one that always takes me forever I swear. These freaking flying fish at the very beginning, hate them. These little blowfish guys at the very beginning, hate them. These little spiky guys, hate them. These crab guys, they're kind of cool, I guess. I think they have some pretty cool designs. But still, hate them. Larry the lobster over here, I mean, he's pretty chill, and he's not that hard to dodge. But still, in this final phase, oh my god, don't even get me started on this final phase. This is the most annoying part, I think, of anything Cuphead related. Basically, you're trying to balance on this octopus guy's head as you're also trying to parry his head so that you can smash the boulders in front of you. Now, I think this idea really does work on paper. I think it's a pretty good idea. But in execution, it is so unbelievably annoying. Mainly because of these stupid shrimp who are just, like, jumping at you. And it's so annoying. But man, I don't think I have ever done this one without getting hit. This one is probably my least favorite thing in all of Cuphead. And I completely stand by that. The fact that I, like, stood up and cheered probably, like, the 30th time I beat this for this video really says a lot. Then again, though, it's still Cuphead, so I can't hate on this thing too hard, but I think that is just about the most I will hate anything in this game. So that is the end of our journey with Cuphead running guns. Now, I think these are pretty much universally said to be probably the worst part about Cuphead. Are they downright awful? No, besides Perilous Peers. I mean, that is just, like, insane rage bait just waiting to happen. But I can still genuinely find some enjoyment in these very, very difficult levels, which is honestly just a testament to how amazing of a game Cuphead is. If you guys haven't played Cuphead for yourselves, it is very, very good, and it is a very good challenge as well. So if you're a skilled gamer, this is like the one for you. And while I do think these levels kind of drag Cuphead down a little bit, mainly because Cuphead's bosses are such perfection, I still think they're pretty decent. They just kind of happen to be in one of my favorite games of all time. And I guess enough people didn't like them to the point where they just weren't in the DLC and we got the King's challenges instead. Now, there's really only one thing that I've yet to mention, and that is the Pacifist Challenge. Now, the Cuphead Pacifist Challenge is where you have to play every single running gun without killing any of the enemies. And it is, very, very annoying, to say the least. I've actually done this before on my Switch, and just, man, it is a rough one. Just thought I'd mention it before we wrap this up. But yeah, so guys, with that said, I think that's actually going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I post more awesome videos like this. Let me know your thoughts on the Cuphead running guns in the comments down below, because I'm genuinely really curious to see how you guys feel about them. Because I'm sure there are plenty of you guys out there who stand these things to no end. I mean, I think you can find someone who likes anything about Cuphead, even the stupid final part of Perilous Peers. And that is true love right there. So yeah, guys, with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!